Hey everyone, and welcome back. I got another watch for you guys today. This is one that I've had for quite a while, and I haven't worn it much up until the last month or so. It is, of course, the Citizen Promaster Diver Automatic. Um, this watch was a gift from my wife, probably 2 years ago. I had had my eye on it for quite a while. Actually, back when I first got into watches, I was looking at a version of this. This is the NY0040-09W. Quite a mouthful. But I was looking at a different version of this, and I was kind of debating between this, a Seiko SKX, and a couple other dive watches. And one thing at the time that I didn't want was the crown at the 8 o'clock, so I ended up not going with this. But this watch has always appealed to me. So I ended up asking for it. I got it as a Christmas present. And yeah, when I first got it, there were a couple things that I just didn't quite click. It was not love at first sight, and so I didn't wear it a whole lot. And then about a month ago, I was thinking, I pulled it back out, and I was like, man, what could I do to make myself wear this watch more? And I finally decided, like a lot of watches, that if I put a different bracelet on it, or not a different bracelet, but something else, the rubber strap that comes on it, nothing wrong with it. It's very comfortable, but I'm just not a big rubber strap guy for the most part. So I ordered this fairly affordable shark mesh off of eBay. It was not very expensive, $20 ship, something like that, and totally transformed this watch for me. I wear it all the time now. This has probably been my most worn watch, probably in the last month or so. So let's get into it. This watch has been in production for quite a while, since 1997, the ProMaster Diver Automatic. Of course, the most distinguishing feature of this watch, I would say, is the 8 o'clock crown. Pretty unique. Some aspects of that I like, some aspects of it I don't, but I'll get to that in a little bit. This is an ISO certified diver, so as you can see on there, it is a diver's watch. It has it on the dial, and it also is a hacking and hand winding watch, which at the time that this came out, it had a slightly different movement to it, and it did not have that. However, this has the Miyota 8200 series movement, and this particular one is an 8203. Not too familiar with some of these Miyota movements. I know this is not a higher end movement, anything like that, but it seems to be pretty reliable. I haven't had any issues with it. But this version does hack and hand wind. Now, I do have the time set on it currently, so I'm not going to pull the crown out and hack and hand wind. We all know what that does. So one of the workarounds that I got is when I first started to change the time, date, things like that, I would try it with my left hand, and I am a right-handed person, and it just never quite clicked with me. Now, the threading on the crown is actually pretty good. It's there's plenty of threads, and it actually threads fairly nicely. So what I found it works best is I'll take it off my wrist or pick it up if I have to set it, whatever, and I actually flip the watch around, unthread it, turn it back over, so I can actually see the time, set the time, date, whatever I need to do, flip it back over, screw the crown back down. I found that works best. The crown at the 8 o'clock, I've come to like it quite a bit. I'll quick pop it on my wrist. Let me take my other watch off. And it stays out of the way, as the same way a 4 o'clock crown stays out of the way on other divers. This one also does the same thing. So for the most part, it's a very comfortable setup, and I do like it quite a bit. I would dare to say this is probably one of the most comfortable wearing watches I have. So, As you can see, it doesn't dig in or anything like that. Everything on the watch is very smooth. Um, it's advertised as a 42 millimeter. It does not wear like that. It wears smaller. As you can see, um, the 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 bezel actually is not quite as wide as the case, not by much, but a little bit. So it wears more like a 41 or a 40 millimeter watch. So this is going to be a good size for most people. So let me pop it back off quick. One of the things I really like about this watch is the case design. At first glance, most people are not going to think it's anything too special. For the most part, it doesn't look crazy or anything. It looks pretty standard, but it's very slim. The actual case, as you can see, as soon as it meets the bezel up here, it pretty much immediately curves down, and it's a very curvy case design, very smooth, all high polished, which makes it very comfortable. And the same with the case back. Screw-in case back, of course, being a dive watch, and that's also very smooth. It does protrude up a little bit, probably to house that movement would be my best guess, but it's all very smooth. No super deep etching on this. You actually can't feel it at all, so it's very comfortable on your wrist. It's like I said, it's probably the most comfortable watch I own, and I don't see many ways to improve upon that. So, big fan of the case design. Big fan of the polishing on the side. It's brushed on top, but it's just very comfortable, and it just wears very nicely. And I think it will for most people because of the size of it. So I talked about the movement, the hacking hand winding, which at the time when this watch was selling was actually a pretty big deal. A lot of the Seikos with the 7S 26, of course, were not hacking or hand winding, so that is very nice. One things that definitely bring this watch down a little bit is it is just a mineral crystal. Again, you're going to pay around, these go for around 220 right now, so that's about what you would expect. I don't have a problem with mineral crystal. Personally, I think it's just fine on a dive watch, especially in this price range. Um, it's yes, it is less scratch resistant. However, it's more shatter resistant as well. It's not going to shatter as easily as a sapphire will. So to me, that's really a non-issue. Pretty standard aluminum bezel insert here. Do have a lume pip up here, and of course the main thing with this version of the watch is this is a full lume dial. Now I really liked kind of the lume color, the cream off-white color of the dial. That was the main thing that attracted to me. This watch has pretty much I guess made my mind up that I'm not really a full lume dial person. However, I like the color of the actual dial itself. It's cream color. It's not. It doesn't strike you as necessarily being a full lume dial. I could see this being a very nice color that a dial is anyway. And of course, it says Citizen Automatic with the Promaster logo up here. Just a little splash of orange, red. You be the deciding factor on that. I'll move my finger out of the way so it focuses. And then, of course, it says divers, water resist, 200 meters. And again, the 200 meters is in that reddish orange color, which I really like. It works really nice with the dial color. The bezel action is a 60 click, which is pretty typical for a Citizen. They're pretty known for doing that. So some people like that, some people don't. I don't mind it. I probably prefer a 120 click. It's a little more refined feeling, but of course this is a pure tool watch. To me, that's all this watch is, just a tool watch, which I like. Lines up pretty well. Sometimes it's a little off, which I think is probably specific to this watch, but as you can see here, everything lines up very nicely. So overall, I wouldn't be worried about, any alignment issues. So let me quick turn the lights off. I have a slightly different lighting setup for you here today, so it'll be a two-stage process. Okay, so here you see the Lume, and of course this has been under bright light, so it's going to be shining very well. Now, when I first got this watch, it was very blotchy. The first month or two when I would wear it, the Lume just didn't look that great. However, I noticed it when I started wearing it a month or two ago. The Lume was a lot better. Now, part of it is, of course, let me see if I can get a pointer in here. Part of it, of course, is as the handset goes over the dial, you are going to get a dark spot. So you can see there where there's a dark spot right before the minute hand. So you will get a little bit of that. The Lume is fairly long lasting. I would say it's, it'll last most of the night. You will have to bring the watch up close. It does fade out, of course. This is not, I would not say this is quite Seiko level Lume, but it is very good. Handsets are a little brighter, as you can see, slightly different color, and overall, very impressed with the Lume of this watch, and it seems to have gotten better the more I wear it and the more it's been exposed to light. So let me turn the lights back on. Okay, so let me quick cover the shark mesh bracelet because this has been a deciding factor in me kind of breaking this watch out again. So this was just a cheap bracelet off of eBay. I think I paid, they're advertised for like $17 and $3 to ship. The eBay description says they're made in Japan. I kind of highly doubt that, but I could be wrong. It does have a milled clasp, which is nice. It is just very, it's just a stamped, the rest of the clasp, the outer part is just stamped, but there are three holes that micro adjust, and overall it's decent. It's not the most solid, it doesn't come together very well, but it's been fine for the price you pay. I will say if you're thinking about ordering one of these shark mesh bracelets, be careful. They are not fun to size. You literally have to cut each one of these links out, and that's not the most fun process. It took me probably about an hour to size up this bracelet, and once you have it sized, you're done. So you better, I did it on the safe side. It's wintertime when I size this, so I made it as as tight as I normally would like it, and then in the summertime I can adjust it out. So just keep that in mind. But back to the watch, I think that the bracelet definitely pairs well with the watch. It's non-tapering, which I would prefer, but I don't know how that works with shark mesh if you can't do that. But I think it works really well with this Promaster. Definitely gives it a tool watch aesthetic, which really fits this watch very well. So beyond that, I think that's all I got for you guys. I'm a big fan of this watch. Does everything you want it to do. Hacks, hand winds, solid Miyota movement inside, good Lume. The other variants they've been coming out with some other variants of this watch in terms of color combinations and whatnot. So it doesn't seem like they're planning on discontinuing this anytime soon. So, this to me, I know there's been a lot of replacements for the SKX in terms of, Islander has done it. They were kind of the first, but then there's obviously all the homage versions, and then Seiko has the 5KX versions, which aren't really dive watches. But to me, this kind of filled that void in the big brand version of a budget diver, and I think it does it very well. So I highly recommend the Citizen Promaster diver in the automatics. I've also have had the Eco Drive version. Little different case shape, a little bigger watch, but still very good, and it looks very similar. It has this same unique bezel, which is very easy to grip. Anyway, these are some great dive watches, and I would highly recommend them. So anyway, I will end the video there. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I'll have some more watches coming up soon.